Good afternoon, everyone. This is Todd Kimberlane at the National Hurricane Center with a 5 p.m. update on Hurricane Griffin. Hurricane Griffin has gradually been reorganizing after it's moved into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. This is the latest satellite imagery that we have of the storm, and the eye not quite apparent at the present time, but it is beginning to reform, and I'll discuss in just a moment the opportunity that the storm will have for re-strengthening. In terms of where it lies, the storm is about 50 miles to the west-northwest of Tampa, Florida, or about 200 miles to the southeast of Panama City. The storm is moving toward the west-northwest at about 12 miles per hour, and we think that it's going to gradually turn more toward the northwest with some increase in forward speed during the next 24 hours. This should bring the center very close to portions of the Florida Panhandle, the Big Bend area of Florida during the overnight hours, and we expect hurricane conditions to gradually develop over this region and then spread inland over parts of North Florida and South Georgia. The maximum sustained winds are 100 miles per hour with higher gusts. This makes it a Category 2 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. We do think that there's going to be an opportunity for re-strengthening here, and that may already be occurring given some of the reports from the latest reconnaissance aircraft. The hurricane should gradually turn more to the northwest and eventually to the north as a weather system here from the west begins to affect its motion, and we should see what we call a recurvature as the storm turns to the northeast and increases its forward speed. In terms of impacts, the impacts are beginning to lessen over portions of central and south Florida. We still have watches and warnings there, but those will likely be discontinued over the overnight hours. However, hurricane warnings extend from Boca Grande on the West Florida coast to Destin. We think this will be the primary impact of the storm. And you notice the swath here, the cone of uncertainty. It shows where we think the center is going to go, but the impacts are going to be far-ranging. So we expect that there will be a very large area here, very strong winds, tropical storm force and hurricane force in some cases. And those winds are going to extend inland, possibly affecting points as far inland as Atlanta, Georgia. In terms of the rainfall, there could be some fairly heavy rainfall over the Florida Panhandle and parts of the southeast U.S., 10 to 15 inches near and to the right of where the center crosses the coast, and there could be locally higher amounts in portions of the Appalachians, which could result in some flooding or mudslides there. Also a cause of concern will be the storm surge over the Appalachia Bay, which is an area especially prone to storm surge, 8 to 14 feet, a good possibility, and that will press inland up to 10 or 15 miles. So Hurricane Griffin at this hour, 100 mile per hour winds approaching the Florida Panhandle, hurricane warnings in effect for that region. This is Todd Kimberlane with the latest update on Hurricane Griffin at the National Hurricane Center.